ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it together. Members of the council. Good morning. This is a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council on Wednesday, July 26th, 2000. Shh. Yes, thank you. The council meets on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at more or less 10 o'clock. We are being viewed on cable channel 35, the city's television station. We are also available by council phone, and we are ready to start. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Burnson, Chick, Fear, Galanter, Goldberg, Hernandez, Holden, Miskowski, Pacheco, Padilla, Ridley, Samus, Fornich, Wax, Walters, Ferraro. 10 members present, a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. Let's first go through and take off what has to be continued. Let's do approval of the minutes. Why not?
Approval of the minutes.
Without objection, the minutes are approved.
Mandatory resolutions for approval.
And without objection, those are approved.
Before beginning the regular agenda, there are several items to continue. Item 1, applicant requests continuance to October 25th.
Okay, I'm sorry, say again.
Item number 1, applicant requests continuance to October 25th.
Is there any objection to that? That's, I believe, Mr. Hernandez's district. All right, that'll be continued to October 25th.
Item number 2, applicant consents to continuance to August 2nd.
Any problem with that? Hearing none, that's continued to August 2nd.
Number 4, Council District 9 requests that be continued to August 9th.
Okay, let's continue that to August 9th.
Number 5, Council District 9 requests that be continued 1 week to August 2nd.
All right, that will be continued.
Item number 35, Councilmember Holden requests that matter be received and filed.
What's item 35? Hold on. Anybody have any problem with it? Is anybody here? Does anybody have any problem with item 35 being received and filed? Seeing none, it's received and filed.
Item number 37, also there's
Received.
a request from the Housing Department to receive and file inasmuch as the violations have been corrected.
All right, if they've been corrected, we'll receive and file item 37.
And item 45B, it's a closed session item. City Attorney requests that be continued 1 week to August 2nd.
Okay, item 45B is continued to August 2nd. Okay, next item.
Next item, Madam President, you have confirmations of city officials. Item number 6 is confirmation of Michael I. Keston to the Board of Water and Power Commissioners for a term ending June 30th, 2005.
Good morning. Members of the council, I was the only one in committee this morning, but it is my pleasure to recommend confirmation of Mr. Keston. We had a very interesting discussion earlier, and he brings a remarkable background to this, so I will move approval. Mr. Wax, you wanted to be heard.
President, members of council, I've had the great pleasure of being a friend of Michael's for many, many, many years and talking to him about a wide range of issues, and his commitment, his ability to really see the breadth of issues and put them in the broader context and the importance of the impact of decisions, I think is a great choice. I didn't know he had been selected, and I've sometimes been critical of some of the selections that have been made around here, but I think Michael's going to be an absolutely fantastic commissioner, and I look forward to working with him very much.
Ms. Miskowski.
Thank you. Mr. Keston is a CD11 resident, but particularly in water and power, he brings a real, as Mr. Wax said, array of particular skills. Not only has he had a career as a developer, but he has also served on the California Water Quality Control Board. He has served on the board of Heal the Bay. So he brings perspective from a lot of different organizations and corners to this particular agency, which I think will serve him and the constituents of the city very, very well. So I'm very pleased to also support this nomination.
Mr. Hernandez.
You know, I was looking at today's council agenda, and I asked myself the question of who's Mr. Keston, and why are we appointing him to the Department of Water and Power? And then I looked at his resume and said, he passed president of the Water Quality Board in Southern California. He also sat as the director of the Conservancy. A pretty impressive resume, and I just hadn't had the pleasure of meeting you before, Mr. Keston. I do think you bring some expertise to the commission could use at this time, especially as we're dealing with issues of deregulation and trying to continue to provide the kind of rates that the constituents of the city of Los Angeles are accustomed to. We don't want to see what happened in San Diego happening here in terms of water rates. And looking at that resume, I was impressed. And in spite of you living in Council District 11. But I always say 11's two ways of saying number one. But for the most part, I also wanted to congratulate you for wanting to serve on the Department of Water and Power's Commission, and ask you that if there's any way my office can work with you, we want to. And if you can help us understand the department better, we want to, but we felt we have a good relationship going with them now. And again, the real mission of the department is to provide quality water at the lowest rates and power at the lowest rates for the citizens of the city of Los Angeles, and hopefully you can continue that mission.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Madam President, members of the council, may I suggest that in light of the fact we have a number of appointments to be considered today, and several of us wish to have a better sense of who the prospective commissioners are, that we continue the commission appointments to a time satisfactory or acceptable to the president, and in that way I think we can make a better and more constructive set of decisions. I would so move.
All right, Mr. Ridley Thomas has moved to continue these. How long did you want to continue them for?
Madam President, if a week is satisfactory or whatever the case may be, I think members would have opportunity to come up to speed by that time.
All right, well, all right, so Mr. Ridley Thomas has moved to do that. I would just like to say that having interviewed several of the prospective appointees, I'm sure that others of you have done the same, that I'm not sure what is gained by this, but this is a matter for the council to decide. We have on the floor a motion to approve Mr. Keston and a motion to continue this and all the other appointments for a week. I believe that's what you said?
That is the case, Madam President, and to the extent that you spoke to the motion in terms of questioning the rationale, I think with their permission I would attempt to restate the rationale.
Go right ahead.
It is my considered judgment that we are best served as a body to act in concert to the extent that we can. Secondly, it is my view, and I think others are prepared to support such a view, that more due diligence is required with respect to some of the appointments that are to come before us. I don't know that there is anything substantial to be lost by continuing for a week. If it needs to be less, that's okay as well. But I do believe, as we attempt to do our business as a council, a lot is to be gained, and I would respectfully request that we act accordingly.
Okay, Mr. Fewer.
Mr. Ridley Thomas, I'd like to speak to your proposal for a moment.
Please.
I don't understand why the argument that you just raised relates to the reappointment of sitting commissioners who have a record and with whom we have had a chance to work over time. Do you wish to distinguish those who were sitting from those who would be new? For example, we have Ms. Rowan, who's been a sitting commissioner and who's been there for a number of years now, I think 7 years.
Mr. Fuhr, it is no mystery to anyone around this horseshoe, or nor is it a mystery to any observer, that we have a lot of transition with respect to the commissions, some of which is coming at a rather rapid-fire pace.
Right.
We are then put in a position of almost rubber stamping those decisions without the benefit of really thinking through what is going on. Once again, as a third component of the rationale I offer, it would seem to me to be quite prudent in the interest of our collective decision-making processes to continue the appointments.
The one thing, Mark, which you said, which I strongly agree with, is under the new charter,
Yes.
we have to be very focused on the credentials of those who are coming through wishing to be appointed by the mayor now, because we don't have any authority once they're appointed. And so I agree that they, and indeed the charter commissions and their presidents have admonished us frequently about the importance of giving close scrutiny to new appointments. I'm not sure the same argument applies to the other, but I understand I certainly think that that argument is a very important one for us to take into account.
If I may, they are at a certain point inseparable, because the renominations in some way impact the new persons that are being appointed and/or transferred to other commissions. And I think we would be well advised to look at all of what's on our plate rather than trying to do it piecemeal and complaining after the fact. Once again, I think a continuance is advisable.
Okay, Mr. Burnson.
Yes, members of the council, this is a difficult thing because we have people who are very qualified, done a good job, and it's not a personal thing, and they should not take any comment as a personal statement against them. What we have is a situation here where people have been purged for their political views, and that is a serious thing. And I think it's something that the council needs to think about and talk about, and it's something that there needs to be some clarification on before we go forward with further approvals.
Fair enough. Let me just point out that the item before us at the moment is not part of the what you've characterized as a purge. We have Mr. Keston's. No, I know that. I just want to keep everybody focused here that we're not on to Mrs. Rowan yet. At the moment we're talking about Mr. Keston's appointment. Ms. Goldberg.
I'm going to actually support Mr. Ridley Thomas's motion, but it's because I do believe that we should, for every appointment, have a process now. You know, we always had the opportunity, not much time, but we always had the opportunity to do a real confirmation. We have never done that since I've been here. We have never looked at what the views are on the particular issues we might be worried about. We've done it very perfunctorily, both in committee and in the presence. So frankly, I know almost as little about this person, even though you've been serving all this time, as I do. Oh.
He hasn't been.
Oh, okay.
That's exactly the distinction that I'm trying to make.
Well,
Excuse me, this is, let me take your time off here. Mr. Keston is a new appointment to the Board of Water and Power Commissioners.
Well, all the more reason is what I'm saying. But even if he were a reappointment, I'm telling you, we do so little in the way of looking at these appointments. You know, when the charter hold change came, it was because we were going to be more like state and federal governments. Well, state and federal government, when they do commission appointments from the governor or from the president, spends some time looking at those appointments. It is not perfunctory, it is a real process. I believe that now we have an obligation to do that real process, since it's the only time we will ever have any way to have any input into the process. After that, it's gone. As we've seen in the purge, I think an appropriate appellation. So I think it's a good idea. I think we probably should have started it before now, but I think that we got a little wake-up call which says to us that we ought to take more seriously the role of the council in looking at all appointees to commissions, since it's our one and only time to weigh in on that matter. Thank you.
Mr. Hernandez.
Members of the council, this has nothing to do with Ms. Goldberg, and it has nothing to do with Mr. Ridley Thomas. I just don't understand why we're doing this again. And when I say that, what's before us today is Michael Keeston, and if we wanted to continue these items, it should have happened before this. I personally took the time to review his resume. I personally made a decision. And I know that before it came here, it should have gone to a committee. Did it go to a committee?
Yes.
And the committee took the time to review the
Yes.
nominees. And this particular nominee, that's not the problem. We have two other people who are being nominated for the Community Development Bank. And again, I went through a process and I held it up and I asked more questions and so forth. And that's been part of our process. Now, I don't have a problem with following the lead of my colleague, but when I think I heard a word that I'd never heard, and that was collective decision-making on the council. And I've known that in previous appointments that I questioned, I was the one who voted no and everybody else voted yes, and vice versa. And I was questioning particular issues, and periodically we all take turns doing that. What I'd like to propose at this time that we basically, I am intending to vote for Mr. Keeston today. I came in prepared to do that. Now, the rest of the appointments, I'm willing to continue and go through a process because I think it's important that we try and build consensus as a council in regards to a process, and if we feel it's new, then we want to do that. All I know is that there's 339 days left for me to get to make this decision, and I'm quite frankly looking forward to being out of here. But at the same time, I'm here today. And so I came in prepared to make a decision. I've made a decision. I'm willing to make a vote, and I want to follow your lead. It's just that the discussion happened in the middle of a process. And I'd already said, I'm going to support Mr. Keeston. And so that's my position on this particular nominee at this moment. And I'm willing to follow the lead of my colleague in regards to the rest. And I just ask us to, at this time, vote on this nominee and then get this part over with.
Mrs. Chick.
Yes, I am prepared also to support Mr. Ridley Thomas's motion, although I also came in prepared to support particularly reappointments and to participate and listen in the discussion on the appointment that's before us. Colleagues, I just want to point out to you, I asked the CLA to gather some just preliminary information on the movement that's going on right now, about 11 months out from a new administration on commission appointments. In between July 1st and July 25th, we've acted already on 39 requests for commission appointments, 39 now. 15 of them are for the new planning commission, so that leaves 24. 7 new appointments replacing commissioners whose terms expired. 10 new appointments to fill vacancies created by resignations, whether they were requested or given voluntarily is not listed here. And 1 withdrawal of a confirmation of an appointment where the mayor withdrew his nomination. So whether or not we confirm the 1 or 2 appointments that are before us today or not, in terms of this bigger picture, I think it's absolutely necessary that we take that step back and take a pause. Not only because of the heightened new power of confirming appointments that the charter now gives us. This is a legitimate power that was very purposefully left as an authority for the council while we relinquished the involvement in removing a commissioner. Our involvement in appointing was heightened. And I keep hearing conversations that our decisions are not focused at the individuals, but rather the bigger picture. And the only way to look at the bigger picture is to take the pause that's been recommended. I also mentioned yesterday, and I think this is a very key point, about governance, about responsibility. To be moving commissioners around, for instance, Marcia Volpert, who served unbelievably, went to meetings, did her homework, was thoughtful in her decisions. Her term was up and she was not reappointed. There were no reasons discussed with her. She was very interested in serving the last year. So there's been an awful lot of decisions made with no communication. The charter doesn't say the mayor has to communicate with us, but we certainly have the right to say that we want to be very thoughtful, especially at this late date, to make sure that our important departments, run often by commissions, contracts decided by commissions, have people on there who have the experience and knowledge and not be starting all over again 1 year out. Thank you.
Ms. Mizikowski.
I think the council's discussion today is pointed and appropriate. The council is looking to react and looking to make a statement, and under our charter authority, we have that ability to do that in a confirmation. I share what I think Mr. Hernandez's concern is, that but for this appointment, I think the statement is a realistic statement. Ms. Chick, you said the mayor doesn't have to communicate with us under the charter. In fact, he does. He has to certify in writing that the appointment is especially qualified by reason of training and experience for the position, and more importantly, that the appointment is made by the mayor solely in the interest of the city. And I think that there are some actions recently which can cause that to come into question. But like Mr. Hernandez, I don't think this particular commission appointment is one that where that statement should be made. When one looks at it, there is clear qualifications in the biography and the background of Mr. Keston. And moreover, I think it is very much in the interest of the city that someone with his credentials and capability goes to the Water and Power, particularly because of the variety of his background and bringing together a number of experiences that will really relate to being on that commission. And so I believe that this appointment should move forward. I think it is, as we look through it carefully, as we consider the opportunities and the appropriateness, that this one does make sense. I think it is also appropriate for the council to have the discussion we're having and question very firmly that issue as to whether or not an appointment is solely in the interest of the city, or whether or not there were other interests that came into play. And so for that reason, I will not support the motion as it relates to putting aside everybody. Yesterday, we confirmed at least 4, maybe 5 commissioners, and didn't raise that when the same issues and concerns that we have were in front of us yesterday. But I, again, stand to recommend this appointment and ask for the confirmation.
You're up next, Mr. Ridley Thomas. There are 3 more. Mrs. Chick.
Yes, I just want to correct perhaps a misperception. I'm very aware of the formal communications that occur on appointments. I'm talking about any discussion or explanation of why these changes, why 1 year out from the end of this administration, when continuity and institutional memory are important, when learning curve takes place to go on some of these commissions of proprietary departments. There's been no discussion or explanation of why certain people are not being renewed or people are being removed and their resignation asked for. And I don't expect that kind of communication in this current time, but I'm hopeful for the future of the public of this city that that kind of teamwork does occur after July 1st of 2001.
Thank you, Mrs. Chick. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Goldberg.
You raise a good question. Why is this day different than yesterday or the day before yesterday? Mikol Halelos. The reason it's different is because we have had put right before our eyes that the charter has changed, and we've been behaving up till now as if it hadn't. Now, you notice the date on which this decision has to be made? It's by August 18th. Now, why is it longer? It's longer in recognition. They added days to the amount of time we could look at these. Why? Why were those days added? Because it's our only look. And I will tell you, I will now want to take the full time for these, for each and every one of them, because the committee heard it, but I had no opportunity to meet this gentleman, and I probably could have, but I thought we had plenty of time. We need to take more time with all of them. and be satisfied and not be rubber stamps. We have been rubber stamps. And frankly, it wasn't a big deal if we were rubber stamps, because if there were a problem, we'd have still an ongoing role. We no longer have an ongoing role. Now, we can continue to be rubber stamps and take basically the resume that's given to us by each of these people, or we can do some independent look and make sure that these are the folks that we want. We can individually, if we're not on the committee, have interviews. That's why the longer deadline. That's in recognition that our role has changed. Now, we have not thus far behaved as if our role has changed. I'm not saying you, I'm saying we, because I have not also looked at these positions in the way that I should, given the new understanding of the charter. But we've had brought to our attention that it has changed, and not by us. Now I think it's time for us to take this more seriously. I will say to you, I must take it more seriously. And I do not intend any more rubber stamp appointments. I intend to look at them. I very well may come to the same conclusions I did when I was rubber stamping them, but at least I'll know why I'm voting for them now, which will make me feel a whole lot better.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The chair recognizes Council President Pro Tem Galanter.
I'd like to return for a moment to the item that we're actually discussing here, which is Mr. Keston's appointment. And I want to tell you, having spent the time to meet with Mr. Keston and having not only read his resume, but talked with him about a number of issues regarding the Department of Water and Power, whose commission he's being asked to serve on, this is about the most qualified commission nominee we've ever had before us. And I think it would be a real mistake to jerk him around. This is an opportunity for the city. I'm sorry that it comes so late in Mayor Reardon's tenure in office, but I'm grateful that they found him. I think that this is really, we are making a mistake in making Mr. Keston the focal point of this, because after we go through all this confirmation thing, if we take until August 18th with respect to his appointment, we will have lost another 3 weeks or 4 weeks, during which time we could have taken advantage of his willingness to serve. This is a guy who has experience with water policy. He has more experience with water policy than most of us here on the council, and we are lucky to have him. So I think that we ought to confirm him while we have the opportunity and not let him change his mind. Just while I'm at it, since this has become a larger issue, I respect and I actually agree with most of what's been said about taking the confirmation process more seriously than we have sometimes done in the past. Although I do want to assure you, because I feel very strongly about it, that when people come through my committee to be confirmed, I do take it seriously. If they go through your committees, I assume that you have taken it seriously as well, and having some modest trust in my colleagues and your judgment, I am inclined to go along with committee reports. The next appointment we're going to consider, the one that involves the commission that everybody's so hot and bothered about. Let me point out that Mrs. Rowan has some qualifications from having served there for so long, so that she actually knows the Harbor Commission and its duties inside out. I know that's not the item before us, but I also suspect we may never get to that one the way we're going. Could I respectfully ask of you that we confirm Mr. Keston while we have the opportunity? If you want to go on, because I know as soon as you find out whatever you don't already know, that you're going to be as enthusiastic about his appointment as I am. And Mr. Wax is nodding. Here we are on the same side, Joel. This is a great moment. Let's enjoy it while we have it. It actually happens more often than not, but, let's take note of that. I would like to suggest that we vote separately on this item, that we then, we can vote on Mr. Ridley Thomas's motion to continue this one as well, but let's vote on this one, then let's vote on his motion to continue the other items, and then let's go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. The chair recognizes Councilman Ridley Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the council, it does seem to me that it is reasonable to proceed in the manner that a number of the members who have spoken seem to suggest, namely that we move with the confirmation of the current item before us, that is the confirmation of Mr. Keston, and the balance would be pursuant to the motion that I made. That seems to me to be reasonable. Mr. Wax has seconded that, and several others have expressed the same sentiment. And so, Mrs. Galanter, Madam President, it seems to me that we can proceed in a fashion that keeps us moving in a forward and constructive way, and I, again, would so move.
All right, Mr. Hernandez.
I agree with the motion that was just made. And I'll second it.
All right. So if I have followed this correctly, because there was a little side conversation going on here, the matter before us now is Mr. Keston's confirmation.
No, I want to vote. I want to speak.
Package deal was, I'm sorry, to continue the rest of them? All right, well, Mr. Holden hasn't spoken yet.
That's
Mr.
right.
Holden.
There was some discussion about selling one of the power plants. You familiar with that?
Only what I read in the newspaper the other day.
What's your opinion about that? After considering what happened in San Diego, where the rates have doubled, people were brainwashed and they've been cheated, and the consumer is paying 100% for services that they used to pay, been double. How you must have, you live in the city of LA, don't you?
I surely do.
How would you like to have your utility rates double? It's
I don't
enough
think
now.
anybody would like the utility
Right, then you don't want to
rates
sell that power plant, do you? Just like the turkey over there wants to sell it. You know, so, you know, I have a problem with you if you have made up your mind on this very important issue.
Well, let me address that point. I have not
Go be
made
my
up,
guest, you go ahead and do that.
I have not made up my mind on this issue. I have read about it in the newspaper 2 days ago. The issue really has to do with the amount of supply that's available for power in the city of Los Angeles, and whether the upgrading of other systems will accomplish as much, and I don't know really the facts.
We can overproduce and sell it at a higher rate, and that way what we charge our consumers could go down. There are a lot of ways to angles on this. Just keep what you got, produce more, become a provider, and that'll help us a lot. So you don't have to sell everything off. That's what they do, you know, they really have us invest, provide for the product, and then they sell it to the fat cats. They're all inside. It's an inside job. And this looks like it's an inside job also, and it stinks. I would say that, Mr. Thomas, you had a motion on the table, and it looks like you caved in, and you're throwing in the towel on your motion?
May I? Cave is not in my vocabulary, Mr. Holden.
I didn't say it's caved in, is what I said.
Yeah, I understand that. Caving in, I've never even heard of as a part of my vocabulary, Mr. Holden. What I've done is attempted to keep us focused on the larger set of issues, namely not rubber stamping confirmations. There is a sense of readiness with respect
Okay,
to
but
this person.
Since
and
my
I would
time is
proceed.
running out,
Yeah.
there are some other commissions coming in that is going to be before us momentarily. And
Continued.
no, well, I like some of them.
I
If
understand.
Ms. Galanta likes him, I like some of them, you know, so this thing can become unraveled.
Yes, I recognize that, Mr. Holden.
Okay?
Yes, we appreciate it. So we don't speak about caving in, and we don't speak about unraveling. Those are not good words here.
Mr. Savornich.
The only thing I would ask, Madam President, as a procedural question is that I would prefer that we bifurcate the issue, is that I believe that we should be able to vote on Mr. Keston and then vote separately on whether or not we want to continue the rest of them.
I've been advised by the clerk that we do need to do that, and Mr.
Terrific.
Ridley Thomas said he
Thank
was
you.
comfortable with that. Mr. Burnson.
As long as we apparently are going to vote on Mr. Keston today, I have just one serious question I need to ask, and that is relative to the Chatsworth Reservoir. There has been a unanimous motion approved by the council that this area be preserved. There was a agreement between the commission that and the community that there would be a authority set up with a caretaker so people could access for tours the reservoir. I'd like to know what your position is, number one, on the preservation of it, and number two, upon working with the community to make this more available to the public who want to use it for tours and so forth.
Councilman Bernstein, I don't know much about the issue, but I believe very strongly in working with local communities with respect to issues that are dear to them.
Okay, I'll accept that answer. There has been sentiment on the DWP before about the sale of portions of it or selling it so they could get money for it, so it could be developed. It's a very sensitive area in the San Fernando Valley in my district, and I'm most concerned about it, and I had to ask you that question. But your answer is that you will work with the community on what is the best interest of the community?
Absolutely, and I'd be very happy to sit down and talk to you and the community.
Fine. I just want you to know that what went on today has no reflection upon you whatsoever. I think that from what I understand, or for any of the other candidates, I understand you're highly qualified, and I'm pleased that you're willing to serve. But there is a message that needed to be sent, and I hope that it's being received today.
Anybody else? Okay. Now, are we all clear that we're taking two separate votes here? The first vote is on item 1, Mr. Keston's, that's not 1, what is it? Item 6, Mr. Keston's confirmation, and the next will be Mr. Ridley Thomas's motion. Open the roll on Mr. Keston's confirmation. Close the roll, tabulate the vote. How did you vote? You don't know how you voted?
13 ayes.
That is approved. Thank you, Mr. Keston. Thank
I'd
you for
like
your
to thank
patience.
you all for welcoming me here today.
Yeah. Are you still willing to serve? That's my question.
Yes, I am.
Thank you. All right. We have Mr. Ridley Thomas's motion, which is to continue all of the, am I right in this? To continue all of the other appointments, which are items number 7.
9, 10, 11, and 30.
Those are all appointments. Mr. Holden, you wish to be heard on this motion?
Some of these boards and commissions might be a little short, where they don't have a quorum, they're not able to operate or function, and I know number 9, I'm prepared to vote for that one today and hold all the others.
1 week.
See, you look at 9, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas, you look at 9, item 9.
Yes, this is a 1-week continuance, Mr. Holden.
Well, look at 9.
Council District 9, you say?
Yeah.
No, item number 9.
Item number 9.
Mr. Hudson.
The 9th inning, you say?
No, that's not in my vocabulary.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm prepared to be supportive of that, Mr. Holden, 1 week from the day.
What'd you say?
I'm right there. Won't move.
Well, let's put it this way. If he is still on my time, we can accept the fact that this individual is here today.
Yes.
To let us know that he's ready, willing, and able to serve on
Yes.
this important commission. And if he's going to be continued and voted another time, his schedule being what it is.
Yes.
His time is not as open as ours.
Yes.
That I'd like to have him excused, if necessary, from having him to appear. At
Makes
some later
sense to
date.
me.
Now, you can hear from him today, and then you can put it over. That's fine. I have no problem with that. If you have any questions that you
All
want
right.
to ask of him.
All right. Madam President, am I queued up to speak?
Would you like to do that?
That's actually a good point. Since Ms. Rowan is here as well, we could do,
You can
okay.
hear from them, and then. they
Yes,
don't
I
have
was
to
going
come
to
back.
say on the
So-
balance of my...
All right.
Well, wait. Let me make sure I don't know if we have a consensus yet. Mr. Hernandez wants to speak as well. We have all of those possible appointments. Most of those people are here today. Do you want to, am I understanding that the motion then is to hear from them today and give everybody a chance to talk to them today, but hold the vote? Is
Yes,
that,
yes.
all right, well, if we're going to do that, then
If
let's,
they should decide to do so.
okay, it's up to them, but then I think we should do that in order and just take them in the order in which the items come up. All right, Mr. Ridley Thomas, you're up to speak again, and Mr. Hernandez. This just,
Yeah, I'm just on a whole different issue, Madam Chair, because
Yeah.
Mr. Holden's staff took it upon themselves to receive and file item 35, which is in my district, and that shouldn't have happened, so I'd like us to reconsider it.
All right.
And put it back on the
We-
agenda.
Is there any objection to reconsidering item 35? And would you guys slug that out in the corner? All right, item 35 is reconsidered. Now, this is a little informal, ladies and gentlemen, but I think that what I've heard here is a consensus that we're going to call these items in order. We're going to ask each of the nominees if they would like to be heard today or if they would like to wait until next week. If they would like to be heard today, when they're fair game, you will all ask them whatever you want to ask them. No, I know we haven't. That's why I'm trying to establish the procedure here. If we continue them all, then we're not going to hear from them today. But after the motion of continuing them came up, Mr. Holden and Mr. Ridley Thomas suggested hearing from the gentleman whose nomination is item 9. And then somebody suggested that as long as we're going to do that, maybe we do the same thing with,
Madam President, may I?
please.
It may be the case that these persons, he left. Well, back to the original item then, Madam President, which is to continue the balance.
So we're now back to the motion of just continuing the rest of it. Okay, is everybody clear on that? Yeah. Open the roll on Mr. Ridley Thomas's motion to continue, and Madam
Yes.
Clerk, recite them again, if you would.
Items 7, 9, 10, 11, and 30.
Okay, open the roll, close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes, 1 no.
Okay. Those have been continued 1 week. And I
Thank you.
urge you all to do whatever you need to do in between. Next item.
Madam President, I understand item number 34 was actually the one that Council District 1 wanted to be received and filed inasmuch as the violations have been continued.
Okay, hold on a second, let's get that, yeah, that sounds more like it, doesn't it? All right. Okay, so we've reconsidered item 35, and at Mr. Holden's request, we'll receive and file
And
item 34.
item 34 is actually in Council District 10.
Yes, that is in Council District 10. He can receive and file that. All right, without objection, item 34 is received and filed. And if you guys will pipe down over in the corner, we can go back to business here.
Point of order.
Sir,
Madam Chair, the gentleman's associated with item 9 was here. I think he left in being a little upset. Are there any other members who might be confirmed today, or are they still here? You should ask them in the audience.
Mr. Holden, thank you. I did ask the council whose meeting this is if they wanted to proceed by asking each of the people who are here.
I know you said that, but some of
Yes,
them,
and nobody wanted to. They wanted to.
but if they're still here, then they can ask them to let them know to come back at another date.
They're still here and they still know. And one of them's right over there next to you, and you can tell her personally if you want to. Hold up. Moving right along here, what is the next item? Say so, okay. No, let's do item 3,
Item
which
3
Mr.
is a
Burnson has
required public hearing item.
Okay. I have no cards on item number 3. Is there anybody who wishes to be heard? No, I know, I'm coming to you in a second. First, I'm closing the public hearing. Now, Mr. Burnson.
Yes, we need a technical amendment by deleting condition number 5, KK8, and I would so move.
All right, anybody else? Everybody hear the amendment? Open the roll on item 3 as amended, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That's approved. Any forthwith on that? Okay, next item.
Items for which public hearings have been held, items 8 through 29.
Okay, members of the council, any specials, 8 through 29? 8, we have 2 motions. 8 is called special. 12, Ms. Goldberg. 16, Ms. Goldberg.
Item number
19 has 2 motions as well, right?
And it's
Or
also
2,
submitted without recommendation.
Without recommendation requires a motion, so we'll call that special. Okay, that's it? Anybody else? All right, open the roll on items 8 through 29. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. We need forthwith on 9, 10, 11. Oh, those are continued. Okay, forthwith on item 13. Okay, through item 29. Okay.
Next item, Madam President, items for which public,
Forthwith on 29, please.
items for which public hearings have not been held, items 31 through 44.
All right, before we begin on those, we do actually have an important presentation here this morning, which requires both myself and Mr. Savornich and maybe some other people as well. So, Mr. Burnson, could I prevail on you for a moment while we take care of business here?
Chair recognizes Mrs. Galander for presentation.
Okay, you hold him up while I start the speech here. Mr. President and members of the council, I've interrupted this important meeting with an important announcement. As you undoubtedly know, we are losing from the Board of Public Works one of our very hardworking commissioners, Todd Burnett, who has served on the Board of Public Works for the past 4 years. He's done an awful lot of really good things, and it has been, the reason I'm up here is because he's taken care of my district and also the 5th and the 15th, so we're all here together to thank him for his creative energy, for his, I mean, this is a man with a lot of energy, trust me. One of the things that I'm most pleased about, he did a lot of, real public works stuff. He got the streets fixed, he got Manchester Boulevard cleaned up and improved. He took a major role in a number of sewer and stormwater and resurfacing projects, and you're going to hear more about some of these from my colleagues here. But I think that probably one of his proudest achievements, and certainly one that we will look back on over the years and remember that this is the guy who thought it up, is the, I can never remember the name of this thing out at the Los Angeles Water Science Education Facility, which is out at the Hyperion Sewage Treatment Plant. And, we all think about sewage as that ugly stuff, and we do wring our hands here a lot and talk about how we wish the public knew more about what happens to water in Los Angeles, and this is the place to find out. And it really came about because there was an empty building at Hyperion, and Todd took a look at this building and he said, I want that building. Here is a chance to do what everyone has talked about for so many years and actually provide a way to offer some education to people. So I have to say, I think that goes way beyond the normal run of what we ask a Public Works Commissioner to do, and that Todd deserves a lot of thanks and congratulations and all that stuff from us. And before I hand him this thing, signed by all of us, I'm going to let my colleagues here have a crack at the mic.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to be here. Todd had a little send-off at the Public Works Board this morning. He is an extraordinary guy. Ruth referred to his energy and a real spirit of innovation that he has brought to Public Works since he's been there. I had no prior contact with Mr. Burnett before he was appointed, and I didn't know what to expect from his appointment. And what we got was somebody who was really prepared to look beneath a lot of the issues that have been bedeviling us for years and try to find ways to do things new, differently, and better. And what Todd did, for example, was help us try to focus on how to do our public works projects more efficiently by looking at a street as a whole, as the street, as the sidewalk, as the gutter, as the curb, of the trees that need to be trimmed, and lead us in the direction of doing all that work simultaneously, so we end up doing it much more efficiently, getting taxpayer dollars to go much farther. And in general, I think that Todd has been a very refreshing member of the Board of Public Works, and someone who all of us will remember for a long time to come as someone with whom we worked as among the most effective people in city government. And Todd, good luck with whatever you choose to do, because whatever it is going to be incredibly successful.
Yeah, the chair recognizes Mr. Hernandez.
No, not yet. Savornich gets a crack first.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see Mr. Svornovich hiding behind that post there.
Thank
You're
you.
next, Mike, after Svornovich.
Thank you, Mr. Bernstein. I would like to, as the third speaker, you know, this is a bittersweet day for all of us, but as the third speaker, I think we are saying goodbye to one of the truly good guys of LA City government. But I really don't think it's a goodbye, because I think he's going to continue to be active in this city for many years to come. I just want to tell you a brief little story about the can-do spirit of this man, a gentleman who I'm also proud to call friend. It's been about 15 years when there was a project in the harbor area. It was called the Field of Dreams. It was vacated county sanitation property right when you get off the Harbor Freeway. Most of you are probably familiar with it because there's a big old incinerator smokestack right there as you get off the freeway, and it's right next to this property. Well, about 10, 12 years ago, the community tried to come together to turn it into baseball diamonds and soccer fields, and the project failed. About 7 years ago, we were able to get the project going again, but it was only until Commissioner Todd Burnett took the project under his wing that the project actually flew. In just a few weeks, we will be celebrating the capping of the landfill that was there and all the pre-development work that the Department of Sanitation has worked on for about 2 years now, I believe. And it's all because of this one commissioner, this one person in this city government, that this project was able to go forward, and there are going to be children from all over being able to enjoy soccer fields and baseball fields and everything because of this one man's dedication. And as Ruth and Mike have said, that was in addition to taking care of all of the street issues and the trees issues and everything else that he did. He found special projects that benefited communities and made them happen on behalf of the people he too represented. And so I would just like to add my thanks and congratulations, because we are truly losing one of the good guys of this city government. I'm just glad that he's going to be around to help us with other endeavors, but I wanted to thank him personally because he is truly a great guy.
Okay, now, hang on. Stand here and hold this.
Now, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Bernstein, and Mr. Barnett. I need to disclose something to all my colleagues, and I was at the reception this morning at the Board of Public Works for Mr. Barnett, and I showed up there and I made a statement that, you know, many commissioners come to me and they say they're there to basically take care of my district, and Todd did that. I just found out that you were also taking care of Galanter's district, and Fuhrer's district, and Savornich's district. But he had come to me and said he was in charge of my district. And at the time, I wasn't sure how he would do. And what I want people to know is I showed up at the reception this morning to thank Todd Burnett for the work he did in my district. And I wanted to thank him sincerely, and that's why I went to the reception. But I also wanted to acknowledge his efforts in regards to the Buena Vista Bridge on North Broadway. And many of us know it as the North Broadway Bridge, built in 1911, and was restored to its grandeur with a new infrastructure and the lighting and so forth. And I needed people to know that I had heard not only from city staff the name Todd Burnett, but from the contractors the name Todd Burnett, from community groups, the Conservancy, the name Todd Burnett, in regards to that project. And it was clearly a commissioner who played a leadership role in trying to make sure a very important project for the city, part of the city's history, was completed on time, on budget, and done in a way that we could all be proud of. And I said that this morning at the reception because Todd Burnett deserved that kind of a recognition, and I appreciated the leadership he displayed and the fact that he preserved one of Los Angeles' gems in a way that it should be preserved. And I also said that the infrastructure is something that stays when we politicians and commissioners come and go. So it's something for him to be proud of, because there's a plaque on that bridge that also includes his name. But again, I just wanted to say thank you. And I don't know whose district you were in charge of, but I appreciated the work you did at Bide. Mr. President, Mr. Bernstein.
Excuse me, is there anybody else that wishes to be heard? Thank you.
All right, so now let's let Todd do it. I had no idea you got around that much.
Well, actually, I think that's good. I think it's good to know. And Councilmember Hernandez, I had a pleasure of helping you in your district, and hopefully with some of the other council members as well. When I was asked to do something by somebody, my position and my feeling is to help out whatever I could do, because even though I was primarily responsible for CD 6, 5, and 15, I took it upon myself that the infrastructure items and the services in the city benefit all of us. So it was a pleasure to help you and help some of the other council members as well with particular projects in their district. I was very honored to be on the Board of Public Works and serve over the last 4 years. I said earlier today in my big send-off over in Public Works, and I appreciate you coming, Councilmember Hernandez and Councilmember Fear, this morning. I said that the last 4 years has really been like an education. I feel like I've graduated. The degree was in life. The degree was a liberal arts life degree. And what I learned was not only about government, about public works in the city of LA, what I learned about was about people, about politics, about myself. And I can't thank the city, I can't thank the Mayor Reardon for giving me that opportunity. I can't thank all of you for that education. I do want to especially make special recognition and thanks to my 3 council members. My council member who I live in, District Ruth Galanter. It's been a pleasure working with you in your office. I did everything I could to help my home community. It's just like everybody else. It just so happens though I live there and more people were calling me up. So it was more opportunities. That's exactly, literally. Councilmember Zavornich, thank you very, very much for the wonderful working with you and for the wonderful projects we have. You've become a real good friend, and I just look forward to working with you more in the future, and wish you all the best of luck. Councilmember Fear, I was really happy that, unfortunately, Mr. Hernandez, I actually was taken out of your district and put into Councilmember Fear's way back early on after I met with you, and that's how that happened. I was very pleased, though, to be in Councilmember Fear's office.
Get away from Mike.
I enjoyed working very much with his staff and with Mike Fear, and working on a lot of important projects in that district. And I have the highest regard for all the council members, this council, and in particular for my 3 council members here that I now call friends. And thank you all very much.
Thank you. Next items 30...
Items 31 through 44.
31
items for
through
which
44,
Public
right.
hearings have not been held.
These, yes, any cards on that? On 39? Item 39 is called special. Anybody wish to be heard on any of the other items?
Mr. Chair, before we take up 39, I'd like to announce that that is going to go into closed session pursuant to Government Code 54957.6, and that the negotiators for the city are the CAO not the CAO anymore, ORS and the CLA.
We'll hold that on the desk till we completed the calendar.
Thank you.
Okay, so aside from item 39, open the roll on items 31 through... Yeah, does any of the council members wish to call any items from 31 through 44 special? 40 is called special. Any others? Open the roll on all the other items 31 through 44 except for 39 and 40. Open the roll. Close the roll.
11 eyes.
Okay. Item 45 is a closed session item also. Do we have any items, item 39 called special?
The next item, Mr. President, would be item number 8. That was called special by
Item number 8.
Councilmember
That
Goldberg.
doesn't show on the screen here. No, it's not. Yeah. Okay, item number 8 called special. Who called it special?
Councilmember Goldberg called that special, and there are 2 options on the file, and a motion is required to adopt either option A or option B.
Okay, with them all. Is there staff here so I can ask a few questions? Morning. Mr. President, members of the council, the vote that we're taking should not be done without thorough analysis, because this board will control You ready for this? $148.5 million that this city will get for workforce development. I'm not sure why there was a split vote, but I'll let those people who are involved in that say so. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions about the process here. The first question I have is that we've been told that there's some sort of plan in the bylaws to have maybe a smaller group, which would make sense, be like a steering committee or something. Is that true?
A steering committee for...
Of the board, to meet when the board isn't all meeting, since there's, what, 47 of you?
No, actually, what we're having is quarterly meetings of the full board, and then we have committees that we've
Okay.
spelled out in the bylaws.
Okay. The concern that was raised with me, and I didn't quite understand it, which is why I'm just asking it, is that Labor, which I think has 3 or 4 votes, is only 1 vote on some of this? And they're worried about not being a presence in the actual ongoing work. There'll be a presence in the big board, but not in the smaller ones.
No, actually, in our bylaws, well, our board is, why it's so big is because it's mandated by legislation.
I understand all that.
Okay, and it requires that we have 1 labor representative on the full board, which we've gone even steps further
No,
and appointed 4.
I understand that too.
So all we did was put it in the bylaws as 1, so we can be a little bit more flexible with making sure that we meet all the requirements to make decisions as a board.
I see. So the bylaws say 1.
Yes.
Aha.
And so does the legislation.
Well,
So it's
no,
just
the
right in-
legislation permits more.
Yes, we put at least 1
I see.
in the bylaws.
Okay, so I think their concern is that with those bylaws, since everything changes next year, you don't know what will happen in those appointments. And is there some reason why you wouldn't put more than 1 as so that we would have bylaws that would more or less guarantee a greater participation out of 47?
Well, we've just stayed consistent with the legislation in order to maintain the flexibility to make sure we can go ahead and get our decisions to the state and on time and decisions that need to be made. So we've just kept in line with the legislation. But at any point, the structure may change, but with this board, we don't anticipate. We will keep 3 labor representatives.
Okay. You have Voc Ed, Carl Perkins, and you say that's covered by someone else. You have local vets and disabled, and you say that's covered by someone else. You have HUD, you say that's covered by someone else. A food stamp person, a person who is from the faith-based communities, and all of those are covered somewhere else. Those were choices that you made.
Yes, in trying to keep the board to a manageable number, we have put basically the ones that you've mentioned. Food Stamp Act is covered under the GAIN program, and that's covered by James Adams, who is on our board. So in other words, he's wearing 2 hats on our board in order to maintain and get more labor representatives and more representatives participating from the other fields, and to include more faith-based organizations and to get a broader perspective. So the mandatory amount needed from the legislation, we've gone ahead and covered, and these, like as you are seeing, they're non-business and they're all mandated partners in the legislation. So we've tried to get as many to cover 2 hats as we could so that we can add other organizations as well to make our board as complete as possible.
And the mandated ratio between business and non-business is what?
Is 51% business.
So you could have, because you've got 27 is what you're going to end up with, and 23, you could have ended up with 27 or 25 and 26 and 24.
What we're trying to do is stay heavier on the business end of it for business participation instead of on the mandatory partner end of it, which I think everybody almost here would agree that we need business representative on the board.
Nobody disagrees with that. My concern is this. If you're going to be essentially managing $148 million, that you would want to have the most possible input from the people or representatives of those people who you're going to try, whose lives you're going to try to change with this program. and I feel a little bit concerned, not heavily, I'm going to support this today, but I just wanted to raise it with you, that my experience personally has been the more input you get from the people who you are serving, the better off you're going to be. Because it's a very easy process for all of us who are not in their shoes to think we know what's best.
No,
But then it doesn't work.
Ms.
They don't
Goldberg?
come, they don't participate. My last question is just, what's the definition of a community expert?
Somebody who has knowledge of the community, so it would have to be pretty much all of Los Angeles City, and that can, and Lee, you can help me out with that a little bit more, because we did put that in so we can tie in more with economic development and people that were actually in touch with everything going on in Los Angeles City
So you're
right now.
talking about an economic development expert.
Not necessarily, because we do have economic development covered, but somebody that knew pretty much broad-based knowledge of all of Los Angeles City. So it was pretty much, it's not a mandated position, it's one
I
that...
understand
our-
that.
No, Jackie, push your button again, because
All
I
right.
got somebody else who wants to talk. Mr. Holden? It's your turn.
How much money are we talking about that you have control over? This workforce investment board?
Approximately 148 million.
$148 million, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Between our board and the youth council as well.
That's a lot of authority. And you're serving the disadvantaged community primarily?
Well, yes, our
Yeah.
work programs do reflect, and in everything that we do in our 5-year plan that has been already gone through the council and everything, yes, they do address the needs of
The disadvantaged?
Yes.
Right. And so you would think those who are in that category would have a better idea what their needs are and how they would like to be served with this money. I think the government was saying that when they gave the money.
Right.
But then I got to ask you about the selection process. I mean, this is just to point out something that's 66% of the appointees are non-minority.
Non-minority, including women?
Well, there may be some women in there, I'm sure. But the
Yeah,
same
half of
thing.
those who are
I mean, but
non-minority
you know,
are women.
it's the mindset. The mindset doesn't change. You understand what I'm saying? Mindset is the same, male and female. You got my point. You got 19% African Americans, 9% Hispanics, Asian, which is only 2 people, you one of them, and that's 4%. Native American, 1. Now, it seems like to me they should have had some sensitivity about selecting this board. There are a lot of people out there who would fit these categories that's required by law, but they were not selected. So I just have some concerns about that, number one. And number two, you've established among these temporary appointees where they can go out and select the other people, which I don't even like. They supersede the council. Isn't that right? You guys you have to approve on whoever is selected, and you're not even confirmed permanently.
Yeah, we set up a nominating committee.
Pardon?
We set up a nominating...
You set up a nominating committee, and you're not even permanent. That's the point I'm making.
No, he has been appointed.
But he's not, no, there's a temporary board right now.
No, well, the interim board, but there's still...
It's an interim board, and you're here today asking us to make you permanent, period.
And in order to receive the $148
I understand all
million,
that.
we do need to be a permanent
I understand all that. It's an interim board. And this interim board now is exercising authority more than the council, because they're the ones who decide by setting up a selection committee who they're going to select henceforth.
Well, it's a nominations committee that's based on, that we had appointed,
Yeah,
you're
I
right,
know.
by our board, but it had to go through a process, and this is a process that council agreed on in our WIB-LEO agreement
I
that
know,
you
we
were
gave them-
voting
All
for.
right, wait.
We gave them too much.
Hold on. We have more council members who want to speak, and your time's up.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Mr.
I'm
Hernandez.
smiling as I say that.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I started this morning by listening to a great pianist named Raul de Blasio. He's a Mexican pianist. We might all take the time to listen to some music and get away from some of the static of the council. gives you a different perspective in life. And I wanted to basically address this as the chair of the committee that's been working with the acting WIB board as well as staff, and now recommending the appointment that's before you today of the entire board. Ms. Goldberg brought out the importance of the $194 million, and what you need to know is this is replacing the old PIC, the PIC board. And what's refreshing is you do have more participation from the private sector, a more variety of participation. What is real is the fact that these training dollars and these placement dollars have to be for real jobs, for basically providing the kinds of wages that provide for the quality of life of people. And I think that we have an improvement today from what we had before. Now, the concerns that I'd been expressing before had been concerns of the full participation of the board, and you have to understand that when you have names on this board, like Faye Washington, we know her role when she worked for government as the personnel director, also with the Department of Aging, and also a temporary stint with the Department of Airports. When you have names on this board, like Candy Condell, he's on here as a local education representative from the community colleges, but we also know his role with labor, as a labor representative. When you have names like David Giffen, and the fact that he oversees Unite LA, and has been working closely with us as a representative of KCT, I think you understand the importance. As part of this process, we asked council members to nominate people. I, for one, nominated an individual named David Trujillo, who I know has an active role with labor, but also an active role with youth, in trying to make them part of the process and find jobs for them. And he was basically selected by the nominating committee, and he's part of this board. I know that Mr. Holden nominated 2 people, and Marsha Brown, which is his nominee, is also one of the names that's up before you for approval today as part of this process. This is a very important board because our role with it is going to be to oversee it once a year or when we get that plan to review. But at the same time, we know our role can also intercede and get involved if something's going wrong and we don't feel comfortable about it. But it's a new board, it's a bigger board, it's a more diverse board than we've had before. And I just urge us to move on and appoint the board permanently. We have a role.
Is that a motion?
That's my motion.
Your motion
The majority
is-
report
Okay,
A.
thank you.
And ask us to continue to pay attention to the Workforce Investment Board and the Workforce Investment Act, because a lot of the limitations of the act have become the limitations of the city. And the reality is the funding does come with certain provisions. And we need to continue to expand the opportunities. We need to make sure the partnerships work. We need to make sure the private sector provides not only the job opportunities, but some of the direction, that the public sector plays its role in making sure the participants are inclusive and it's participating, and that we end up with a product that we can all be proud of. Again, this is a complex issue. I've been working on this thing at least for the last year. Today is just another step in a direction, but this would be the first permanent board for the Workforce Investment Act on behalf of the City of Los Angeles.
All right, Mr. Burnson. Okay, Ms. Goldberg. Oh, sorry, Mr. Holden comes up for a second time before you go for a third time. Mr. Holden. Yeah, that's what I thought. So why does this say 3? All right,
Go
then
Ms.
Mr.
Goldberg.
Holden. All right.
Ms. Goldberg.
Ms. Goldberg will go first. Go ahead.
Okay, I would just urge, I have no problem with the person that you appointed as the community expert. I think she's fantastic. I've had a chance to work with her, so it's not about her. I would urge you to change the name, because I don't think that community expert gives you the same idea of what this is. And I think what you probably wanted was some kind of liaison with economic development issues that are going on through the mayor's office. I have no problem if you called it that. I think it's a great thing to have there. I don't have any objection to her. But when I saw the name, I looked to see who was going to be the community expert. And if you take a look at her resume, I don't think that's an appropriate appellation. Just a recommendation.
Thank you.
Mr. Holden?
Well, who's the expert? I don't have that in the report. Supposedly, who's the expert, Ms. Goldberg? Frankie who? Look, where does she work?
She's the representative of the nonprofit for Genesis LA currently.
Well, that's not a conflict.
No.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear you say the second time the question been asked that it's not a conflict. First time it was asked, oh, that might be a conflict. Never mind, never mind.
I'm sorry.
I know.
I understand that.
Well, let me just say that, Madam Chair, you heard the evidence. Are you supportive of this? Because I'll follow Ferrara, and I'm going to follow you.
Oh, my goodness. Write that down. Everybody got that on tape? Yes, I'm going to vote for this.
All right. Well, in that case, I rest my case.
Uh-oh. Am I in trouble now? All right. Anybody else? All right. Mr. Hernandez's motion is before us. It's the majority report. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
That is approved. And he did follow my lead. What's today's date? Okay, next item.
Item number 12, called special by Councilmember Goldberg.
Ms. Goldberg, push the speaker thing, please. Jackie, push the speaker button. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
I just want to know a little bit about judgment obligation bonds and how they fit into our debt policy. Now, I'm not against this. We got to do this. I'm just trying to keep track of all of the things that we're doing. So that's the only real question I have is what we're trying, how this fits into our debt policy. Is it?
Mario Vasquez with the Office of Administrative and Research Services. Council members, although it's referred to the judgment obligation bonds, it is a typical bond issuance that the city does. In this case, we do need to go to court to get these bonds validated and issued, which is what we did. In our report, we did indicate that this bond issuance will not exceed the city's debt service limit.
Okay. But it does count towards it.
Yes, it does.
That's all I wanted to know. Okay. That's all I want to know. Thank you very much.
Okay. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
That is approved. Next item.
Item number 16, called special by Councilmember Goldberg.
Ms. Goldberg, we lost her. Come back, push the speaker button.
Really just wanted to know about this 3-story storage facility, since that's been so controversial in my area, and what we're trying to do is to deal with this. This is a zone change to a C2. I would have really rather you zone changed it to M anything, because I'm trying to get these uses out of C2, since it turns out that when they're this big, they turn out to be warehouses and not self-storage anymore. So is this going to be one of those ones that allows for the crating of things and bringing it in on these large trucks and having a 3-foot-high pallets and a loading dock and so forth?
Ms. Goldberg, if you want to respond, we have the planning department here. This is in Council District 11. It's a remnant piece of property that's next to a freeway, next actually to another property that's adjacent to a library. It is not going to be a big warehouse. Because it's a zone change, we were able to queue it to a specific design standard, to a very narrow driveway to access for, it's really essentially going to be a home storage kind of use. But it is, and the motion that we had brought in, where you said you wanted them not at all in C and only by right in M zones, would allow a discretionary approval.
Absolutely.
And this is clearly a discretionary approval that's gone
I'm
through
just
every, yeah. No, this
not
is,
anxious to have a precedent that undoes.
in fact, if you were to see
will undo.
if you were to see, and I can show you the design here. This is a precedent we would like to have for these.
That's
places.
the only question I had. Thank you.
Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
And because that was an ordinance, but we no longer have 12 members present, that will go over 1 week. Next item.
Item number 19 is called special by Councilmember Goldberg, and it's also submitted without recommendations.
Okay, did we lose her again? Where'd she go? We did. All right, let's go on to the next item. We'll come back to that.
Next
All right,
item.
now, well, let's do item 40, which I understand I'm told the problem has been resolved. You didn't call 19 special? Okay. Oh, no, we had 2 reports, that's it. You're right.
didn't call 19
You're right,
special.
absolutely true. All right, I need a motion from somebody here.
I move the majority report and ask Mr. Holden to follow the rule he set today of following the president's direction.
Well, it's, okay. It's all right. Is Mr. Holden available? No. Quick, open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
All right, that's approved. All right, we're back to item 40. Forthwith on whatever that was, 19. Forthwith on 19. Item 40, somebody confirm for me that has been resolved? Okay. Open the roll on item 40, close. Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Goldberg, item 40.
I did want to speak. I had hoped to come to grips with this as a policy issue before I left, and I think that's unlikely now. So I just want to say for the record that I find it very difficult to support parking districts in areas that have garages and driveways because I do believe what we're really going to do is end up leaving streets empty rather than letting the public use them. And so I'm going to vote no on this, but I urge those of you who will be here a lot longer than I will to seriously look at this policy issue. The word is not just street, it's public street. And we are continuously, I don't have any objection where there are areas of the city where there are no garages and there's large apartments and they're near a use like a beach or like a public park where people can't even park near their home. That's one thing. But this is an area which is characterized by large garages and long driveways. And I think personally, it's not appropriate, even though I understand that they may be unhappy to see people. They don't know parking in front of their driveways, not their driveways, in front of their homes, because in front of their driveways, they can have them towed. But I do think at some point or another we have to come to grips with a policy that defends public in the word public street and limits parking permits to places where it is absolutely essential for people who want to be able to park near where they live. So I just want to raise the issue once again. It's not limited to this one. It's like many of them. And I just think we have to have a change of policy, and I don't think I'll be here long enough to make that happen.
Okay. Mr. Burnson.
I agree with Jackie to some degree, but I must state that when commercial and other types of uses go in, there is a responsibility on the part of the city, developers, and the people who are doing business to provide parking, not to impose upon neighborhoods. Yes, they may have garages. Some of the garages are in an alley where it's inconvenient for people to put them in. I don't know if that's the case here. In some cases, these are older neighborhoods, but we have to be more selective. I would agree with Jackie. There are circumstances, and I have one, for example, in my district coming up on with the courthouse that's being built, with the county not providing free parking. Now, you know what's going to happen with a residential neighborhood across the street from there. So, yes, we need to look at it more carefully, but there is a reason. We have a responsibility to make development provide adequate parking so it doesn't impose upon communities.
Mr. Hernandez.
And again, just to reiterate, the problem with this whole preferential parking program that we have in the city of Los Angeles is the fact that people now own 2-3 cars in an infrastructure that was built when people were trying to own a car and maybe get a garage and 2 garages. I had an issue in my district where, and it's off of Avenue 43 and the Pasadena Freeway, where a small church, just congregation has really outgrown its use. And they basically park in the neighborhoods, not only on Saturday and Sunday, but Monday through Friday in the evening. And the residents cannot park their cars when they don't have garages. And so we worked very hard with that community in creating a preferential parking district. What ended up happening is the residents also balked as to why should they be penalized in having to buy permits and having to go through this process because, again, it's not a wealthy community. And so that became part of the prohibiting issue in terms of trying to establish a district where there should be one, because we were trying to create a parking opportunities for the people who live there. They don't have a problem with people go to the park and use their street. They didn't have a problem with those occasional uses. They had a problem with an institution that hasn't outgrown itself. And right now, the church has about 30 buses. They're busing people in. But the reality is, the cars still come in. And so it's a complicated issue in all communities of the city of Los Angeles for a variety of reasons. It makes it look easy in a community that has the affluence to not even think about the cost of a permit, where they have the streets and they have the parking to basically create barriers for other people to be able to use those same public streets. Sometimes it doesn't make sense.
Okay. The item is before us. Open the roll on item 40, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, that's approved. All right, that leaves us with item 39, which we were advised earlier should be heard in closed session. However, we do have 2 members of the Police Protective League Board who would like to be heard. So before we go into closed session, I'm going... Yes, they have to do it again? All right, let's take care of that. Ms. Goldberg, do you want to do your airport motion first? Let's get that over with.
Yes, I'd like to move reconsideration of the airport
Operating
permits at LAX.
Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are reconsidered. Ms. Goldberg.
On your desk is an item which tells you that things are not going as well as we hoped. And so I would like to ask the CLA's office and the city attorney's office to maybe meet with me between now and Friday about what our options are on Friday, since that's our last day. And so now I will move that we approve all of the permits at the various terminals at LAX and leave it on the desk until Friday.
Which one go?
Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes, 1 no.
That's approved. Okay. Mr. Holden? What's your-
14, item 14, forthwith.
Item 14.
Forthwith. And also...
Did we have 12 when we did item 14? Okay, forthwith on item 14. And?
My next question is that, do we ever officially excuse the president for being absent due to illness?
I believe we did, yes.
We always do that every time?
Well, we don't do it every day. We do it for like a week at a time.
Okay.
Okay, don't worry. We know where he is. We're waiting for him to come back. Okay. Now, item 39, as I was saying, we've been advised by the city attorney that we have to go into closed session. Before we go into closed session, we do have 2 people who wish to be heard, and unless you have an objection to being heard in public, you did ask to be heard in public, I'd like to have the council members hear from you before we even go into closed session. And you guys choose which order you want, Mitzi Grasso and Cliff Ruff.
Thank you, council members. On item number 39, we are here to ask you to, again, please put the item, the Charter 1070 changes do not need to be on the November ballot. We're asking that because we feel by pushing these changes through, we're not allowing ourselves the opportunity to negotiate true reform. We do want to negotiate, and we do want true reform, and we are willing to openly negotiate on Charter 1070 changes. However, although these changes were attached to the MOU, and we did, there was presented to you some sort of agreement, we, in our negotiations, never actually reached a true agreement, and we were forced to sign off on these changes in order to finish our contract. The changes put before you specifically the double jeopardy section as well as the statute of limitations, you have been told will help get rid of corrupt cops. These are not new tools. We already, the department, not we the union, the department already has the tools available to them to get rid of cops who are guilty of criminal misconduct, who are corrupt. And they do so by, once an officer has been remanded to a board of rights, if there are criminal charges pending, the board is held in abeyance until they are finished. So for the department to come to you and say that these changes will allow you to get rid of corrupt cops and is a result of the Rampart investigation is putting you in a very awkward position, and they're doing that purposely to push these changes through. If you remember historically, Charter F, that removed a lot of power from the chief of police, and the public did so because they felt that the chief of police was not held accountable to his decisions. By going ahead and making these changes is to return that power. It's to take the disciplinary process away from the city and away from the citizens and further closes the book. Now, on that basis, I'm asking that you please take the time, allow us to negotiate true reform, and put it off until the April ballot. By doing so, we'll be able to negotiate the things that the city needs. There are also, again, other things we do need to consider as well, including the DOJ situation, and we also need to consider the Independent Police Commission, excuse me, the Independent Police Commission review. And so we have all these things that we need to take into account before we negotiate any type of reforms. And to not consider those is rushing to put a Band-Aid on, basically a bleeding artery. So I do thank you for your time, and we hope that you will consider moving this to the April ballot.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Ruff, you want to add something to that?
Yes, thank you, Madam President.
Pick the mic up so you don't have to hurt your back. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like the council to ask themselves why there's 800 vacancies on LAPD, and why hasn't the city contracted an outside auditor to conduct exit interviews that are objective and determine why people are leaving. I believe you'll find and learn that people want to get away from Bernard Park's oppressive management style. He's driving good officers out because of his out-of-control, unrealistic discipline and a refusal to implement some form of a compressed work schedule. Bernard Parks has been here for 35 years, and why aren't you asking him why he didn't know what was going on at Rampart? Why isn't Bernard Parks being charged with, you knew or should have known that corruption was occurring at Rampart Division? Just like Richard Nixon at Watergate, he's stating he didn't know. He's claiming ignorance. But the chief solution to what's going on at Rampart is these draconian 1070 measures that will drive a stake in the backs of the line officers that are protecting the citizens in the city. Please read the 1070 changes that you're going to vote on and realize that it creates a board of no rights. Why is the council creating and supporting a double standard system? You want to hold police officers accountable for misconduct, and we support that. But when are you going to hold the chief accountable for mismanagement? We ask that this matter be delayed until April so that the issues of civilian oversight, as recommended by many people, including the Department of Justice, is implemented in a total package instead of piecemealing this. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. That closes the public hearing. And I have two council members who want to be heard, presumably before we go into closed session. And just as a courtesy to the public and city staff and everybody else who's here, before we actually go into closed session, we have one person who wants to be heard on public comment, and we'll do the stuff to clear the desk. But let's get all the way up to where we're about to go into closed session before we do that. So, Ms. Chick, you're up first.
I just wanted to ask if the league representatives, the board members would be available if there are questions on the part of council members after the closed session. Madam President?
Say again.
Well, we're going into closed session to discuss this.
That's correct.
And it's very possible that some of us might have questions to ask the league for clarification after the closed session, and I wanted to make sure that we would be able to have that kind of dialogue afterwards, because I've asked to invite a member of the league in closed session in the past, and that hasn't happened.
All right, but the decision as to whether to have the league in the closed session should be by vote of the council. And what we have typically done is invited representatives of whatever collective bargaining unit we're discussing to come in, make their presentation, be able to ask them questions and so on, and then we invite them to leave and have the deliberations. And that's certainly been done in the past and could be done. But I suggest that that motion ought to be made once we're in closed session.
All right.
Unless somebody tells me there's some reason to do it separately.
I don't care when I...
You need the same number of votes either
Yes, our city attorney
way.
is agreeing. I'll make it in closed session.
But, Madam President, I think
Yes.
generally, I think the message to the league team should be that they should be around during and afterwards, because maybe in the middle of the session, maybe afterwards, that they be called on, that's all.
Okay, fair enough. If that's all right with you, we'll take that up as we get there. Mr. Savornich is up next. Pass. Okay, Mr. Padilla is up next. Same issue. All right. Well, have I answered that to everybody's satisfaction? Okay. So, if we were doing this in a nice, smooth, orderly way, we would now go immediately into closed session. However, we do have one member of the public who wants to be heard on general public comment. Is it the council's agreement that we do that now? And so we'll move to public comment and hear from Ms. Leaning.
Yes, good morning. Leaning Sunland Hunga. All those millions of dollars about which the mayor, his billionaire friends, and some council members have been shouting that Los Angeles will reap from the DNC, no reaping. Taxpayers will lose millions, and I shall be here next month to say, I told you so. Thank you.
We'll see you then. Okay, that closes the public comment period. What else, Madam Clerk?
We have motions for posting and referral.
Without objection, those are posted and referred.
Council has excuses on the desk. Councilmember Chick requests to be excused August 1st to leave at noon. City business meets council policy.
Then I guess we'll have to let her do it. City
Councilmember
business.
Ridley Thomas requests to be excused August 4th. City business meets council policy.
All right, that's approved.
That clears the desk, Madam President.
Okay, we have now cleared the desk. We are now going to go into closed session on item number 39. And if we last that long, we're going to also do 45A, which I believe is another closed session item. But let's take care of item 39. So for those of you who are not involved in the closed session, please absent yourselves. And representatives of the league, if you're nearby, will be happy to come and get you at whatever point the council determines that.
We've done it on many occasions. People have slipped out.
This can't wait. They've already gone.
Colleagues, we're now back in open session. We have lost
Oh,
a
is it
quorum, so
already gone?
technically we're no longer in session. But there are a few adjourning motions. Mr. Burnson?
Yes, first I'd ask that we adjourn in memory of James Bay, who passed away on July 20th. He was a board member of the American Jewish Committee, and I would also ask that we adjourn in memory of Dorothy Greenberg, who passed away on July 24th. She's survived by her daughter, Linda Zucker, who was a member of Temple Ramat Zion in Northridge, and we need one tribute on each of those.
Mr. Fuhr?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we adjourn in memory of Frank Wheat. Frank was an exquisite lawyer and former president of the county bar, got the bar's highest honor and so forth. But Frank was so much more than that. In addition to being an author, and he just wrote a book relatively recently about preserving desert lands and his successful efforts with others to lobby for that in the Mojave, Frank was also someone so concerned about equal access to justice and fairness in the judicial process that he helped create the Center for Law in the Public Interest. He helped create the Alliance for Children's Rights, was incredibly active in supporting public counsel, and a supporter of Beth Tzedek. I came to know him through my legal aid work and subsequent to that, and there are very few people more remarkable than Frank Weed. His life was such a testament to the importance of public service and how you could intertwine that in a successful private law career. And an early person to strongly encourage me, and I will ask that we adjourn in the memory of one of the most marvelous lawyers ever to have worked in Los Angeles.
Second.
Mr. Holden?
Mr. President, members, I ask that we adjourn in memory of Jeanette Dickerson. She and her husband, incidentally, was the first African Americans to own a dealership west of the Mississippi, located in Los Angeles. She was very active in civic and social organizations until she became ill. She was 98 years old, truly a pioneer. And she leaves a daughter, Jackie Hickman, and 3 grandchildren. So she's done a lot of good work while she was here, and certainly she'll be missed. Mr. President, members, also Mr. LeBaron Taylor, who passed away this week. He was one of the senior management officers of Sony Television. He was based out of New York, but as a PR person for the organization, he's done so much to provide opportunities for people to work with Sony, and Sony in its programs supporting groups and organizations that needed it most throughout the United States, and certainly right here in Los Angeles. So he will certainly be missed. Another individual, I don't have this form in front of me, but I just learned that Dr. Leonard Thoreau, who passed away, he was the medical director once of Martin Luther King Hospital, educated professor of medicine at King Drew, medical examiner for the County of Los Angeles. In fact, when I was first hired, he gave me my physical examination and said I was okay to go to work. This guy was certainly an outstanding and very knowledgeable individual from in the field of medicine from Louisiana area. And I just want to just cite one story that he told me about his patients. He helped so many of them. He said he cared for one individual year in and year out, and he saved his life on many occasions. And then the time came when the doctor could do no more. And the patient, realizing that here's a man who cared about him for so many years, he says, "Doc, I know I'm going, but thank you for all you've done to keep me here so long." And that's the kind of guy he was, and that's how people felt about him, as I do. Certainly he's going to be missed.
Thank you. Ms. Miskowski?
I'd like the council to adjourn in the memory of Ross Roberts. Ross was a 41-year-old man, a father, and a son, the son of Brindle Gottlieb and her husband Milton. And he died suddenly this weekend swimming in the pool playing with his 6-year-old son, who he is the sole provider for, and he suffered a heart attack. And it was the little boy who ran in and said, "Grandma, Dad won't get off the bottom of the pool," that he was discovered. So yeah, I'd like the council to adjourn in his memory. He's going to be sorely missed by his family, and particularly his son.
Thank you very much. This council meeting is adjourned, and today's adjourning tributes will be reflected in the next meeting's agenda, or minutes, excuse me.